Fracturing the Fallen Facade of Feminism. Quite a controversial title, isn't it? Let me explain. In this video, I'm not referring to actual feminism. That is the movement started by the suffragettes in the 1960s to ensure that both men and women had the same rights, which at the time was voting. Nah, not talking about that in this video. I'm referring to the modern mess of the movement, where now feminism is just reduced down to boisterous women demanding more respect and privileges than men for doing the bare minimum, or even less. Here's a popular example. She-Hulk. At least the modern one now. She's a big, strong woman with nothing better to do than rant about how awesome women are, whilst she needlessly compares with a Hulk who could not care less. She's the complete opposite of her older form, who first of all actually had brains. She would display her more feminine traits and flirt a little to her advantage in difficult situations. Rather now, her whole character profile is just I hate men whilst behaving predominantly in a conventionally male fashion. Strong, reckless, careless. The traits of the very people she claims not to need are the very traits she relies so heavily on. Ironic, isn't it? I can do whatever a man can do. It's something which women like She-Hulk say a lot without really understanding a thing about what they're talking about. If you really could do everything a man can do, then shut up. Like, seriously. If you really can do everything a man can do, try whining less for once. It's annoying. What's also annoying is the hidden dilemma within the statement and its complications. The hidden dilemma is this paradoxical love-hate relationship modern feminists have with men. That paradox is displayed in the masculine standard, the pinnacle of achievement which all modern feminists strive for with their very being. A woman with the strength, intelligence, empathy, dexterity, etc. equal to or greater than that of a man. The perfect feminist. Here's the problem with that. If the standard's always a man, like a man, better than a man, stronger than a man, smarter than a man, then the standard will always be based on a man. Duh. Men will always be that pinnacle of achievement which feminists strive to, as long as this remains the lens through which your daily performance is measured. The problem with this is that this is the central pillar to modern feminist thinking. To recreate feminism the way it was, like in the previous centuries, when it actually did something and actually aimed to solve gender inequality, rather than flip the gender tables. In order to do that, this pillar must fall. If that bothers you so much, shut up about this and go find some other people or things to compare yourself to. Compare yourself now to who you were before. Are you growing as a person? You can do that, or you can reflect on why you desire these masculine characteristics so much in the first place. So, what masculine characteristics am I talking about? Being strong, protective guardians and providers for those they love, etc. These are the qualities which generally and uniquely describe the perfect man. These attributes I will be defining as masculine characteristics. Same applies for females and their feminine characteristics. So that's being caring, nurturing, empathetic lovers, baby guardians, etc. These will be different from manly characteristics, right? So these are the characteristics which multiple societies over multiple generations see men display and basically built a archetype or stereotype of what a man should look like. So that'll be like buff, boisterous, impulsive, trouser wearers, short hair, sports freaks, etc. Girly characteristics, on the other hand, would be like being skinny, makeup addicts, gossip lovers, fashion obsessed, ranty, constantly crying, long hair which takes hours to do, etc. and the such. The point is, everyone likes masculine characteristics, not just a straight woman. I mean, when dudes see other dudes who act in the complete opposite manner of this, so that will be cowardly cocks who are more concerned with their own well-being than others, we berate them as such. Some would even go as far to call them beta males. That's because masculine characteristics are desirable. I mean, even lesbians like them. Huh? Lesbians? Yeah, the ones who like and or are girls who cut their hair short, go to the gym to build muscles, and act all tough and stuff. Noticing something? Yeah, these are all manly characteristics. So like I said before, that's what society in general sees when they think of man. The clothes they wear, the vernacular they use, the way they walk, it's all borrowed from dudes. Lesbians who are, or like these kinds of women, do not hate men as much as they would otherwise think. Otherwise, they would be with the lesbians who act like conventional females. These lesbians like everything about a man but the fact that they don't like listening to boring rants. Where do trans females fit in all of this? To some of you, mentioning trans females and all of this seems pointless. They aren't the same as biological women, so they will have their own struggles unrelated to biological women and vice versa. What's the point of even bringing them up? I get that. You'll see where I'm going with this. To the rest, you know exactly where I'm going with this. To the former group, don't worry, it's not as bad as you think. So, what makes a trans woman a trans woman? How does a biological male know when they feel like a female and should maybe transition? How does a man feel like a woman? Simple. Do they possess any of the girly characteristics we talked about? Do they behave like any of the girls they see on a daily basis? Do they like makeup, hate the gym, like ballet, or gossip, or Harry Styles? If the answer to any of these is a yes, then maybe they do feel like a woman. Otherwise, they don't. Does this offend some of you ladies? Good, because that's basically how it is. None of these biological males transition to femininity for any other reasons than this, except in sports. Whole other point in itself. These other stereotypes of women are exactly what men suffering from gender dysphoria will use to alleviate such dysphoria. When men look at women and want to be women, this is what they see. This is what trans women are. We see the same pattern of thinking for trans males. Women see some guys at the gym, or at bars, or making lots of crude and dark jokes. They may not see as many women doing this. They think, I like these manly things. Perhaps then I feel like a man. Then, if the gender dysphoria is that strong, they will transition to be trans males. It shouldn't be offensive to point out the obvious, and well, it is plain to see. I understand that some of you may be offended, not by what I said, but what it will mean. Yes, the girly characteristics I mentioned before are all that men generally see in women. That's the stereotypical woman. That also means the manly characteristics too perfectly describe the stereotypical man. Perhaps you are more than that, and being reduced to some lipstick-riddled gossip offends you. I wouldn't blame you. It does go against everything that feminism has ever stood for. So, how do we truly begin to represent women? The first step in correcting such stereotypes is by pointing them out. Women can actually be strong. Take Nicole Adams for instance. And men can be compassionate, especially most present fathers. Truly understanding these statements alone would do wonders in fixing the broken colonnade that is modern feminism. The trans community is built upon stereotypes of genders constructed by the other. You can't solve a problem if you don't recognize it such. From this point onwards, you're on your own. I couldn't give you the finer details of the solution even if I wanted to, as I don't really know what to do from here myself. However, based on current circumstances, our hands should be full enough as it is just going through step 1, seeing as anything LGBTQIA2S+ is a touchy topic in the West. As for feminism, the main problem there is that it celebrates more women who behave like manly men than feminine women. Women like the modern She-Hulk get lifted up on higher pedestals than women like the older version who get kicked to the curb for apparently being too reductionistic. This is ironic for reasons which I hope are a lot more obvious to you now. Women like the modern She-Hulk who, in their desire to constantly compete with men, emphasize the stereotype of women being beneath men by constantly trying to prove that they are of the few who break the stereotype. She has finally done it! She has finally proved that women are as good as, fill in the blank, as men by doing it for once. Bet you've heard this a lot.
It all comes down to this one penalty kick. Can the young woman break the glass ceiling and prove once and for all that a female can be just as good an athlete as a male?
You know, Amy, anytime someone calls attention to the breaking of gender rules, it ultimately undermines the concept of gender equality by implying that this is an exception and not the status quo.
This is the exact sort of thinking which would originate from sexism. Modern feminism in this way supports sexist ideas and ideals such as men should surrender all privileges to women for no return, women who don't behave like men are inferior to men, and women don't need men. With all that said, it'll be lovely to see a world where feminism actually works.